In this battle, we are facing EndmyPain5858. Quite an interesting username, if I do say so myself. So anyways, before this battle, we actually did run an earlier one where he actually had to end up forfeiting pretty early on in the battle because what he said was that he didn't have the correct movesets on his Pokemon, and I guess that makes sense because it might have been like what he's been using for his playthrough. So later on, like 2 hours after that battle, I joined back into the server in Rorian Legacy, and I saw him again. So I was like, hey, why don't we rerun that? And he was down. So that's exactly what this battle is right here. So anyways, in the first battle, I led with my Mega Beedrills. That's typically what I like to do whenever I run Beedrill, and I figured that he would probably learn to go into something with a good matchup, and Scizor was probably his best pick to counter Mega Beedrill. So based on that, I figured that Magnezone would probably be a great counter pick, and it did turn out that I got my prediction correct. And you know, the thing with Magnezone is if you're using something like Scizor, you're basically screwed if a Magnezone switches into you and you don't U-turn out, because you're basically trapped in, and Magnezone's going to outspeed you with the Choice Scarf. Bullet Punch isn't going to do squat, so you may as well just accept that your Scizor is going down. And you know, because I got that prediction, that was the end of Scizor. And I will say, if you're running Mega Beedrill, I would highly recommend you get a Magnezone with Choice Scarf as well, because that will definitely help you deal with a lot of the pesky steel type Pokemon that try and switch in on Mega Beedrill. So anyways, now he goes into his Koraidon. This is the first time I've seen this. I've never ever had a PvP battle against someone using a Koraidon, so I actually have no idea what to expect here, but I figured that Tapu Fini would be an effective answer because of its really good type combination, because with the Fairy type it basically counters both stat type combinations of Koraidon, and I can threaten him for 4 times super effective damage. So of course he's gonna pivot out of this because there's no reason he'd want to have to stay in unless he has like some sort of electric type attack, and even then I don't think it's gonna be enough to one-shot Tapu Fini, which is a reasonably bulky Pokemon. So anyways, right here he goes into his Tangrowth, which unfortunately gets absolutely smashed by that Moonblast. Like, that is actually crazy. I don't think he has, you know, the PvP training on this yet, because normally Tangrowth could be an incredibly bulky Pokemon in both sides of the defensive spectrum. So that is definitely an interesting scenario, but I figured I should just finish him off with another Moonblast, because I know for sure I'm probably gonna outspeed him, because I've never seen anybody running speed on Tangrowth. So you know, that was nice. So now he goes into his Mewtwo, and this is actually a problematic Pokemon because you don't really know what the Mewtwo is running a lot of the time, because I mean, it has such a big move pool. It could be really going for anything here, and I was thinking, well, he's probably going to be running some sort of electric move, so I figured that he might go for that if he had one, although it turns out I got that one wrong. Instead he went for a Shadow Ball. I'm not sure why he would go for a Shadow Ball over a Side Strike. Maybe he was predicting some sort of Ghost type, although I don't have a Ghost type on this team, so I don't know what was up with that. Maybe he just was expecting the Heatran to come out, so he went for a Shadow Ball so he can get a neutral hit. I mean, at that point I would just have Horus Root. Maybe he didn't have that, I don't know, or maybe he was just going for it for the fun of it. But you know, it didn't do any damage to this Gliscor here, and I figured I would go for a Roost in case he went for a Side Strike and did big damage, because I know for sure Gliscor wouldn't outspeed Mewtwo. But anyways, he decides to switch out here. I guess he might have expected me to have something that could pressure the Mewtwo out, like Knockoff or U-Turn or X-Scissor, although I don't have any of those moves on my Gliscor. I'm running Facade and Earthquake, so you know, that really wasn't the plan. It was just to scout out for the Mewtwo's moveset. But anyways, here on the Milotic, I'm going to go into Tapu Fini, because I mean, Tapu Fini basically shuts down Milotic for the most part. You can't even Dragon Tail Tapu Fini out because of its Fairy typing. You can't use status. The only thing you can do is attack it, and Milotic, you know, really can't do anything with Ice and Water type moves. So this is a great matchup for Tapu Fini because I can just spam Nature's Madness and he can't really do much about it. And then once he's low enough, I'll just go for a Moonblast. So anyways, here he goes into his Charizard, and you know, in the previous battle, this was the Pokemon he tried to use, and I just went into my Heatran, although now I know that this is a Mega Charizard X, and I figured that he was probably going to Mega Evolve on the first turn. So I was going to go for a Moonblast because I figured it'd be a neutral hit, and should do some good enough damage to be, you know, sufficient hopefully to KO, or at least bring him low enough to where something else can chip him off. Now unfortunately, we get him to red, we don't get enough damage to knock out this Charizard, but you know, that's not a big issue because I have this whole team available right here, and you know, each Pokemon can probably come in and shut down this Charizard if need be, and Tangrowth, worst case, can come in a Flare Blitz and he will die to the Rocky Helmet chip damage or even just the recall. So anyways, here though, I decided to go into Gliscor because ideally I want to preserve my Tapu Fini and the HP that's on it. So anyways, I went for a Facade. Surprisingly, we actually outspeed this Charizard, so this is definitely a confirm that this is not PvP trained, because Gliscor at max is base 95 speed, and this doesn't even have that much speed investment. I think I invested more, especially defensively, for this Gliscor. So you know, that is a bit of a surprise, although not too big a deal because I'll just finish him off with a Facade. So anyways, here he goes into his Koraidon, and this was actually what I tried to get into, or this was what I was hoping to get into earlier, because I'm pretty sure Gliscor has a good matchup against this guy. So anyways, I just wanted to see how much damage an Earthquake would do. That's actually really disappointing because I did not know that Koraidon was that bulky and Gliscor was that weak. So anyways, I figured now is probably a good time to start setting up Swords Dance, because I can basically ball out this Koraidon for the most part. He hasn't revealed that he has any ice or water type moves there that could tread in this Gliscor, and unless he has Swords Dance, he probably can't pressure this Gliscor enough. So anyways, here I'm going to go for a Roost because I figured his D-Claw would do enough damage to bring me low enough to where I'd have to go for it if I want to be able to ensure my survival in the next turn. And he actually goes for a Flare Blitz instead, which funnily enough is actually his most powerful attack from what I can see. And that's definitely not the best play. I'd rather have like a Dragon type attack or whatever Koraidon learns is his signature move. I forgot what that's called. It has some sort of move. But anyways, because of the recoil he was taking from Flare Blitz, I was able to just go for a Facade and finish him off. So anyways, now he ends up going into his Mewtwo. He only has 2 Pokemon left. So the Milotic is his other Pokemon. So theoretically, the smart move would just be to switch in, although I'm looking for the clean sheet here, so I figured I should just go into Heatran, because Heatran typically is a pretty good check to Mewtwo when it doesn't have Aura Sphere, so I can basically come in for free. So I mean, a lot of these guys just aren't running Aura Sphere, and I feel like if he had it, he would have revealed it earlier. So anyways, here I'm gonna just go for a Magma Storm just to do some damage. It's basically a 2-shot, which is nice because Heatran, like I said, has a great matchup against Mewtwo. So now he's going to go for a Shadow Ball, which actually does pretty decent damage, but it's not really anything against his Heatran at least, especially with its full special defensive investment. So now, you know, because I missed the Magma Storm, which is mildly annoying, I'm just going to go for the Earth Power just for the accuracy, because I know he's low enough to where the Magma Storm, like fire damage, will chip him to death. So anyways, now he goes into Milotic. I really have no more need for this Heatran. However, I want to get the clean sheet, so I'm going to go into Magnet Zone right here in the Scald. Not the smartest move. Ideally, you want to just you want to pivot Magnet Zone in to U-turn, or really just on like a really good type matchup, like a flying type attack. Scald is a neutral attack and does pretty good damage, although for this specific scenario I figured I would be able to finish him off with one attack, so it was fine. And that right there is GG.